All right, hey Anya. Hey everybody.
Hey, we're back.
Second.
Well,
Yep.
we're back. We're back in action.
Feels like it's been a few lifetimes since we've been online.
And well, it has been around 4 or 5 weeks because I've been traveling in America. We did actually plan to do videos initially, but sometimes life works that way and you just kind of got to
It's
roll
just
with it,
you.
you know. Yeah, we've had a lot going on, as you guys probably are aware,
Uh-huh.
in the energy world and in the physical world. And I think it's important sometimes to give yourself grace from having to do things. Not that we ever put any pressure on each other, but it's just a case of it didn't energetically align to do calls while we're out there. So it just didn't end up being a thing. So we're reconnected now and
Yes.
we're getting back together and the energy's back together and catching everything up. And yeah, it's been really nice to reconnect with your Energy Z and just kind of, I mean, to be fair, I hadn't really caught up too much with what was going on with you. I feel like I was getting everything out. So maybe I have to do that a little bit afterwards. But yeah, there's been a lot going on in the world over here. So I guess I was sharing a lot of that. So yeah, maybe just a little summary now. How have you been in general?
I would say in general, I felt more grounded in self, a lot of clarity in who I am, a lot of boundaries, a lot of this is absolutely not going to be in my reality anymore. A lot of separation with friends and people as needed
Yeah.
as well. And still running through some deep processes, though. I want to say it definitely took it to the next level deep this last month.
Yeah. Oh, I resonate with that. I always feel like we're little soul sister twins because we're always on the very similar walks of life, similar journeys. And everything you said, I would be probably a better summary than I could put it on where I'm at right now. And I definitely loved that last bit that you said, like I'm still going through it because I feel so much clearer. I feel so much more grounded. I feel so much more in knowing of who I am, my boundaries, my voice is very clear right now. And my nose are very clear right now, which is nice. But yeah, I'm definitely still working through movement and change and choosing to create a better external reality than what I have previously been experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a I want to say that's a big pill to take.
It is. It is. And it's a big, like, it forces you to heavily look inside as much as, we don't want to sometimes. And
Yep.
there's a lot of scary shit in there. And call it whatever you want. There's so many layers to it. Shadow work, inner child work, all the different aspects. There's so many layers to it. Like, but really, truly, I've just been sitting with myself a lot more. I mentioned that briefly just before we departed for a couple of weeks. I was starting to do that a little bit then, and being in America, God, there's such huge differences to the UK, but massive one is the weather and the outdoor lifestyle, which for me is just perfect for me. So I spent most of the 5 weeks outside, obviously, naturally. Got absolutely eaten alive by mosquitoes, but it was worth every minute sat outside in that beautiful energy. And I really just sat with myself a lot on an evening, in the mornings, just sat with who I am, what I want out of life, what I'm choosing to create by my daily routines and thoughts. And yeah, it forces you to look deep at what are we surrounding ourselves around? What are we allowing out of kindness and out of like not wanting to hurt others and not wanting to let others down and not wanting to judge others. And I'm not suggesting you intentionally do all that if you're not feeling to do that. But I guess some of it for me was massively holding me back because I was afraid what my nose and what my change would do and feel like to other people.
Oh yeah, that's a huge one.
Mm. Mm.
Did it get you to the point where you then didn't give a fuck about what
I guess I was just gonna say I'm kind of just still in that in between because this new iPad likes to zoom with my head, so you get full on zoom sometimes. Oh, and FYI, I just thought I'd disclose I do have a jumper on, it's just skin colored. Oh, I'm zoomed right out now. So yeah, no, I don't think I'm quite there. Definitely have got there at certain frequencies, and I've felt that embodiment of actually, no, this is my boundary, and I am holding some of them. So yes, in some ways. But I guess there is still layers of me that are afraid of what maybe moving away, what maybe cutting ties, what maybe different routines and cycles and boundaries might look like
right?
when they are enforced. So I am still in that like, middle territory. Some have been put in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I did that. I don't really give a fuck. I'm glad I rolled with it. But then some, I'm kind of like, okay, this going to look like? How's this going to feel? How's this going to play out? A little bit of anticipational energy, but I'm just trying to remember and tap into that knowing frequency, like we just said a minute ago. If anything's coming through strong right now, it's that feeling of knowing that this, where I am in this energy, is not where I'm meant to be, and it's not bringing me peace or harmony or love or joy or happiness. So I have to move. I have to go somewhere that is, and
Yeah,
that's what's massively clear. So every time I'm in doubt or fear or worry, I shift into the knowing that this is not a reflection of where I am and who I want to be.
right.
It's just a reflection of previous choices and previous creations and also fear. So I'm learning to face that fear head on instead of hiding from it until it's like forced in my face. So I'm just figuring out little new baby steps to find my new way. But I don't know, I guess, yeah, I'm still in between to answer a long but short answer. I'm still in the in between.
Fair, fair. Just a question to this. Are we always in between? I feel like
Potentially, maybe. Yeah,
maybe
I
it's
think
just a
you're
question
right.
arise. I'm like, do we ever? I don't know. I feel like I hit a level and I'm like, wow, that's so clear. And then the next day I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that's not
Right.
just me then. I'm glad that's not just me. Because, yeah, I do that a lot. I definitely do that a lot. And it feels a sense of indecisiveness, like you say, and a lot of it comes from the guilt sometimes, the guilt and the fear of hurting others. And in one moment, I'm so emotionally clear and charged, and then it flips. So, yeah, I'm glad you experienced that too, Z, because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, it just kind of is and one of those where I'm just being very present with it because it's taken me in so much deeper within self. And I have to say, the last month and a half, I've just been very much so deep in myself, looking at all these facets. Even what like embodiment is to me, like, what does this even look like? How many layers are there in there? There's a lot of layers still running in there. Look at that. And
Hmm.
then having that be perceived in my outside reality with all my deep connections. And me wanting to have those deep connections, but also there's been a sense of like it's there and then it's not there. It's there and then it's not there. It goes back and forth. And I'm like, okay, I know that I have my connection to the self. What does this mean? Is it a boundary? Do I need to say something? What is my action step with this? And it's been taking me into a lot of like very visceral experiences of, look, I'm a sovereign co-creator with you. Here are my boundaries. This is what
Right.
I work with. These are always an expansion. Here's what I'm gonna do with you. I want to respect you and your boundaries and your perspective. Okay, if something
Mhm.
arises, I want to bring it up right away. And if repair is needed, I want to do that with a lot of care and kindness as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I respect that. I respect that. And sometimes I feel like what I've learned lately is not everything can also be fixed.
for sure.
That's a huge thing. Like I've learned that we can't always fix things in this lifetime and get people to see neutral perspectives and,
Sure.
find a harmony place. Sometimes I guess what I've learned is the best thing is just to accept where people are, who people are, and not try to fix things. And that is new for me.
Yeah,
It's new for me to not try and repair with care. Like you say, I'm always the let's fix it, let's kind of come together, communicate,
yeah, yeah,
let's speak on this. And for me, if there is an issue and we don't talk on it, then the relationship, friendship, energy, boundary, family, but whatever becomes false and almost like
yep,
shallow for me. It needs to be deep. We need to be able to sit in them deep conversations for that to be a valid, real, emotionally safe place for me to be myself and for you to be yourself. Like that's just how we got to roll. And if I don't have that, I don't feel that emotional safety to be my true self. So you will get a more surface level version of me. And I guess that's what I've learned lately, that you don't have to necessarily fully cut people off. Like you don't have to be like, right, I'm never going to speak to you again in your life. Like you can just give them a more reserved, and I don't want to say smaller because I'm done with playing small. I just mean more, less depth of you. You don't need to give as much of you. You don't need to give as much of your soul, your energy, your love, your kindness, your care, your thoughts, your intentions. Like just give them, meet them where they're at if you find it impossible to cut them off. If it's physically, emotionally, family dynamically not able to like cut them off, whatever, then find a way to give less of you. And that should be able to give the overall less drainage. less disappointment, less upsetment, less resentment.
Right, right. I hear that really strongly. And I get that. And from my perspective, I see that being more empowered. That's a more empowered
Yes.
version of yourself because, I mean, and I get this multifaceted with myself, with many different people. Like, I'm not going to give all of myself to like somebody that I
Yeah.
don't feel deeply connected to. It's just not going to happen. That's a protective boundary that I have. Um, and in
100%.
essence, with that, like in people that I've been in connection with, I've decided to go a little bit deeper with, and I've also put up the boundaries and just tested, okay, here's with that, here's what happened with this. Something popped up this last week with a really good buddy of mine, and he'd be okay with me doing this. Um, and it really took us to a point where we had a choice, and this is where the choices are going to get circled here. Is this something that's in alignment or is it not? Can we go
Yeah.
deep here? Can we move through this with communication, or is this a split? And in any case,
Mhm.
either way is okay. That's about about choice and surrender to what's happening in your reality. Because a good friend of yours of 20 years could be the next person who shifts out of your reality because it's just not in alignment, right?
Yeah. 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 At this point, unfortunately, it's not necessarily about the time spent together as much as they sometimes can be the deepest bonds because you have
Sure.
known each other for each chapter of life, of course. It can also be ones where you're having to play smaller because they know a certain version of you and you're limiting yourself to expand. Now, if they can love you through each chapter and growth and expansion, then awesome. You all should be rolling with each other on the same frequencies. But if there is even certain behavioral expectations or versions of you that they get to know, you learn to play into that. And again, like I was laughing at myself today because I remember thinking like a year ago, maybe I need to change my content to make it more relatable to like normal people because I just don't feel like I resonate with the masses of people. And I was
Yep.
laughing at myself this morning. I was like, why would you ever try and do that? Like, I was like, what's wrong with you? I was literally like, yeah, what the fuck? Like, why would you think making yourself smaller in any shape, way, or form would ever be what would be in the best interest for you? And I was really laughing at myself, like that was the wrong decision to make. But I guess we have to learn and go through them processes of figuring out what works for you. And it is really frustrating, even now, how many years into this awakening, who the hell even knows? I feel like very alone sometimes, you know. I'm like, there's not,
Totally.
yeah, it's a lonely world. And I still don't feel like there's many people that understand and that we can talk to openly and communicate these things. And going back to what you said about projection, communication is this big hot topic right now. Like everyone's learning to communicate. But really, and I mean this with all love, a lot of people are speaking from the victim
Right.
and they're speaking out of their wounds and they're speaking out of pain. And that to me, yeah, it's a form of communication, but it's not a fucking healthy one, you know. It's a complete projection of emotion. And if you're not able to sit with your pain and go, right, okay, this is my shit and it's valid, it's truly valid. And I sit with all aspects of me that have been hurt and wounded by that. And I honor that and I hear it and everything's valid there. But then also being able to consider when someone's communicating their perspective and their energy and like being able to hear that a little bit, not saying you have to agree with it, but just being able to hear it and take it without constantly meeting it with defense and attack because it invalidates your wounds, but that's you yourself not validating your wounds. So then you're triggered when someone else brings up their pain because it's seen as an attack upon yours, but that's not usually not the case. And that I've experienced it myself in life. I'm not saying that I'm without this, I've done it, I've received it, you know. But I guess I'm really trying to work on communicating from a place of, okay, this is my shit. Like, can I tell me yours? Let's meet in the middle and communicate like what went on here. Because
Yep.
I've learned over the years it's very rare that people just intentionally do things out of sheer nasty, horrible, evil energy. You
Oh,
might get it every now and then. Like you might see it, might be there. But it's very rare, you know, usually a lot of people have purposes, reasonings, intentions, mishaps, miscommunications. And when we sit with the full picture, we usually get a more healed, harmonious version for all. And I think sometimes that's what's missing is the ability to sit with other people's emotions as
totally.
well as your own and know that all are valid, even though they're coming from different perspectives, even if they involve you.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
That's a skill set right there. That's a
Right?
it's workout. I feel
Yes.
like I've been in practice with that all this week and like how can I respond to this in a way where I
Mhm.
sit back, I sit with everybody's perspectives because they're all valid and come from a place where I don't feel like they're intentionally trying to hurt me or ever would.
Yeah.
right? So then it's like, how can we communicate about this? Because I want to be able to hear you in a way that feels good, and that we can both like see each other's perspectives. And in any of these cases, because I swear I got the big on the test this week for all of those like communication points. I'm like, oh God. But at the end of the day, I found it really beautiful when I met them at their level. They met me at mine, and we were like, "Hey, look, here's what came up," and it didn't feel
Yeah.
that great. And to
Mhm.
be able to see, oh yeah, no, that makes a whole lot of sense. From that
Mhm.
perspective, I get how that would work out that way. And what do we want to do with this moving forward? How would we like to communicate? And it was quite beautiful. I had a really nice dance this week with a lot of people
Nice.
shifting
That's
that.
really beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm glad
not
you
always
had
the
that
case.
experience. I was going to say, I'm glad you had that experience. It's not always been the case around me lately. And to be fair, I've not been the direct end of it, so it's been not too bad. But I've definitely witnessed a lot of different projections. And yeah, like it's brought up, I think, a big wound in what I've witnessed in the matriarchal collective. And again, I went over to America to help my best friend prepare for birth. I was there at the birth, beautiful birth. And after in the postpartum period for about 2, 3 weeks, I was there 5 weeks overall. And, it was truly beautiful, it was magical. And I guess I experienced so many aspects to it. And even through my own births, pregnancies, it's interesting to see how the people that seem most emotionally charged about the ways in which we're choosing to have these pregnancies and births and postpartum periods are the ones that didn't receive that care and support.
Sure.
And that is truly absolutely heartbreaking. And no woman, especially that little girl inside of that woman, should ever have had to experience that. And I truly feel that deeply, deep sadness for these women. And I'm sure they won't mind me talking about this because we were making affirmation cards, me, my best friend, and her mum was around. And we was writing affirmation cards for the birth space and for after birth. And she invited her mum to sit down and she was struggling to write any down. And I could see her mum just watching everything and processing it all. And I could see her little heart inside was so grateful that her daughter were getting to experience this. But at the same time, so mind blown that this was even an option,
Yeah.
to have like that support, that sisterhood, that connection, that emotional love, and being held in that way. And I could see a little heartbreaking for the fact she never had anything like that ever. And so many women will have experienced that of that specific age group, 40, 50, 60, because birth became so medicalized at that time and so disconnected from the human. I don't know why I keep zooming out, but okay. From the human
Nice
experience.
dance there.
It's like, okay, I'll see you, girl. Yeah, little thing. And my friend went, why are you not making any cards? And I went, shut up, she's processing everything. And she went, and I said, she's processing all the things she never got and never received and
Yep.
never would have thought were an option. And she's glad you've got them, but she's also sad she didn't. And she just looked at me like, yeah, thanks. And I thought, yeah, it's sad that we're in a world where, yeah, it's changing and it's beautiful and it's amazing that I can offer this and Laurie can have this and we can have this and I've had this in my own ways. But in the same respect, it doesn't mean it's not sad that they didn't get it too. And we do have to honour that emotion. But
Very
I
much.
found it really beautiful. Our mum didn't intentionally project anything. She was just there processing it all. She was just there thinking about it all and being a bit emotional. And I could feel her emotions and feel that coexisting joy and sadness. And
Sure.
I think that's what's important to tap into. Like to break a cycle, you don't need to be all in love and light and oh, I forgive everybody. You can still have sadness for what you experience and still have grief and all these emotions. But you can also go, do you know what? I choose not to bring that experience onto the people around me. I choose not to repeat that pain. I choose not to put that on someone else. And
Right.
that's a huge, huge, huge part of being an evolved spiritual being and someone that's choosing to be more consciously aware and progressing in their growth.
Exactly. And I have to say with that golden nugget with all these facets and spirituality and what's coming around and all that. And they gotta forgive. Honestly, from my perspective, if you just make that choice to shift that parameter, I'm not gonna do this again. That you're
Hmm.
you're getting to the same place there.
Yeah,
The jargon
yeah.
is more of a a balance. Like, yes, I'm gonna own it for one, and I'm gonna make the shift to this. And it isn't without seeing both sides of the spectrum, because at the end of the day, we're still connected to the entire collective, and there are lots of facets in here that are still processing their sadness. Everybody is actually, to a certain extent.
Right? Like we're all people do forget in the spiritual community, we are still living a human experience, regardless if you want to call yourself a
Yep.
breatharian, ET channeling, living, whatever you are, you're still living in a human body, my love. And this is what is so important to remember. You are still navigating a nervous system that holds trauma and sadness and grief and muscle memory and all these things within our system. And that's not to depress anyone, it's just the reality, to not fight it, to not sit there trying to be something we are not. We are beings that store this, but we can release it and we can let it go and we can choose to not, like you say, choose not to repeat them patterns. And a beautiful lady of a few ladies of mine on the group, but a lady called Carolyn, she was sharing how she had lots of traumatic experience, but she set an intention when she had her children, which were boys, that when she meets her daughter-in-laws and goes through that experience, that she will be the complete opposite to what she received. And she followed through on that. She brought a better version of herself to be the version she needed at that time. And that, my friends, is true growth.
Oh, absolutely. I have to
Hmm.
say, my mom did that the same thing too.
Yeah.
Decided to make a choice away from my grandmother. Completely different
Yeah.
styles there.
Mhm.
And I want to say I do that all the time, very intentionally. But that is with fully being in my human immersive experience. And I have new layers that pop up because at the end of the day, my body's the one who's holding all this fun stuff. Like she's the one who's really the
Right.
teacher here, like in her human experience. No matter if you are acknowledging you are a soul or not, like your body's the one who's interpreting the whole thing. And no matter where I go, I pick up on the trauma. I pick up on certain facets of this universe that energetically that are still moving their way through. And I cannot deny that there is still those levels out there. There are.
Right.
I'm just
There.
choose now not to be in that because I don't want that in my experience
Hmm. Hmm.
and what I attract in that experience. And I feel like this is a big piece coming in for like the last few weeks, which was to stand in your truth with that, and also knowing that this is all your choice. You don't have to take things in your reality that you don't want, that you don't like. You don't have to take on other people's perspectives. You don't have to take on other people's projections either, or anything like that. You can choose to be in your own space with that. And you were saying earlier with this spiritual dynamic in the mirror base, where we're like, you're all just an aspect of me. I just, for 1 minute, I just want you all to feel in your body how that actually feels. Has anybody really done that? Because my body is like, I don't think you, no. Like, I don't have to because I'm the one in my own reality. I can be in a space that I know that I'm connected to all of them, but also,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's different. That is a space where I know I'm connected to everybody. I know I'm part of a collective
Yeah.
consciousness. And also like every little thing that I see and perceive, I'm not going to take as an aspect of myself, especially when people
Hmm.
butt heads.
Yeah. 100%. And like you say, has anyone ever really sat with what that means? Like, if every human being is a reflection of every other human being, we are talking like the depths of human beings.
Yep.
Like, have we ever really truly sat with that? Like, I remember you brought me to a memory. I won't speak about it too much because I don't like bringing in the energy, but we'll protect the space just as we bring it up.
Absolutely.
Anyways. I remember, thanks for joining in with that. There was a plant ceremony journey I went on a few years ago now, quite a few years ago, and it was probably one of the most profound ones, like not necessarily in the best ways either, but I learned a lot, put it that way. And afterwards, because what I'd experienced was truly nothing earthly
Uh-huh.
or in any realm, that I would have ever recognized for
Sure.
me or anything. And
Yep.
I'm not saying I don't have shadow. I have shadow gal. Yeah, gal has fire. She has not good shit in there. I'm not saying I'm an angel reincarnated. Like we all know, I'm open to admit my shadow exists. She's there, but this, no, it was no, no. And someone said to me, "Oh, maybe it's just a reflection of your own darkness." And I looked at them and I was like, "Listen, I felt my own darkness. I know my own darkness. I know what's in there. That was not that." And I think sometimes we have to be able to discern that. You have to be able to discern because I tell you, I know that frequency. That was not anything that belongs to me or is any way a reflection of mine and what I am capable or emit or receive anything. It was
Yep.
No. So yeah, I think that's an extreme example, but is it? Is it not just an example of the fact is not everything has to be a reflection of self? Sometimes things can be chosen lessons that we've been being chose to teach each other from each other's souls, of course. Like you say, the mirror holding up experience. Sometimes that is true, of course it is. But in the same respect, not everything and not everyone is also that, I don't believe. And so I'm glad you brought that up, Z, because I think that is a bit of a misconception sometimes. Not saying we all don't come from source energy. That includes also the bad shit. That also comes from source energy. I'm not saying it's not all from the same origin point. What is bad, what is good, it's all just frequency with a different intention. However, I think there is a certain resonance of frequency that your soul emits, and you know if it resonates with them frequencies or not. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Oh, totally. And even
Mm.
without words, like sometimes I just don't like using words because it is just about a hit and a frequency. The
Mhm.
rest of it, a lot of times, it doesn't matter. And the humans are also trying to work with that communication and language. And I just want to say for my body, for that particular dynamic and construct of everything you see is an aspect of self, that really hurt my body for a good period of time. Because at the end of the day, like that person is not my experience. You don't have any clue
Mhm.
how I'm experiencing in my experience, how deep I've gone, what I've gone through. You have a perspective of me, and that's great. And also, like, you can keep your perspective, I'm gonna keep mine. And that's my boundary for me. And obviously, mirrors do come up when I know my soul's like ping ping. Here's just a little bit of something. It also means that, I'm not going to take on all that stuff either. It's just a
Yeah.
acknowledgement. I see it. But yeah, that one took me to a depth, and I'm really glad you brought that up at the beginning because
Mhm.
at the end of the day,
Yeah,
a choice in that.
there's always choice, and I think that's what's important to recognize. Like, listen, there is shit we've gone through. Another lady on my Tuesday night, she said something the other night. She won't mind me saying, little Rich, she's beautiful. She said something along the lines of, "Oh, I went through that, but it wasn't that bad compared to other people." And I was like, let's not be doing that. Like, everyone has his own pain.
For sure.
Everyone has everything they've gone through. No, maybe it's not as bad as other people. Like, I'm not saying someone that's been through the most extreme worst of the worst is the same that someone that maybe didn't get enough physical affection as a child. However, the damage on that human and the emotional trauma and the reverberational energy, you can't necessarily diminish your own emotional pain just because someone else has it worse. Like, that's just devaluing your own inner child and your own wounds. And then again, if we're not sitting with them, if we're not valuing, if we're not acknowledging them, then we can't release them, can't work through them. So comparing it and thinking that everything's and everyone's worse off, so mine's not valid, is not the way to go. And Rach, as soon as we talked about it, she's like, oh my God, yeah, like you didn't think about it like that. And sometimes it is just rephrasing it in your mind. Like, of course, we want to care for others. We want to feel that we don't want to sit in victim. And that's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm not saying, oh, woe is me, I'm so bad. Do that for a minute, let it out,
Totally.
then let's let it go. Then let's move forward with it. Okay, why? What did you teach? What did you learn? What did you grow? Why was this experience apparent for you? And even sometimes just acceptance is enough, but I like to go in the deeper meaning. Sometimes it helps me grow. But everything is your own. Don't overanalyze everything. Like, I got to the point where, like you with the reflection, I was overanalyzing everything. Like, why was this encounter and why was this and why did this and what was this and what did this mean and but why did they have to break apart? And oh my God, fucking just accept sometimes that it is what it is, you know?
Exactly.
It just is what it is. And that's where I think that saying came from in my life so predominantly because I had to just accept literally it is what it is. Stop with the question and the wondering and
Yep.
the
Yep. You don't have to.
because sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. So just roll with what feels right to you at that time. But definitely, if you're one that pushes it away, sometimes sitting with it and sitting with it a little bit more can help understand the purpose.
Oh, totally, totally. And I always tell everybody to please dive into it, bring it to the table. If you got a victim coming up, like we all have one, I certainly still have one when she pops up because I have many layers.
Hmm.
I welcome her to the plate. She's a big aspect of me. And now it's just kind of like I get more jokey about it than before because she'll come and be
Yeah.
like, "Why is this like that?" I can see her like, I'm like, I'm like, isn't that so cute? And I
No,
let
I
her
love
do
that.
it. She's
Yeah.
gonna do it. And then she goes, okay, I just needed to express that. And I'm done. We're gonna make a different choice now. That's really
Yeah.
all these pieces need is your awareness. Like to be seen. That's
Acknowledgement, right? To be
exactly.
seen, to be
Yes.
heard. What is the most common forms of breakups in relationships? They're not being seen, they're not being heard, they're not having communication. All these things that we are not giving self, so then we can't meet it to another person. And it's real sad that we're all fully grown adults, not capable of these basic skills of humans. But we want taught shit. So that's what happens when loads of children weren't raised by people that had calm nervous systems. So now we're all kind of learning how to do that at 30-year-old. So there we go, It's one of them
So
things. But
freely.
truly, like, honestly, I feel myself because obviously now I've got a 2-year-old and an 8-month-old child. And I really feel like that mum now. I'm like, yeah, I actually have 2 kids. Wow, that's wild. Like, I have 2 children that sit there in the little high chairs and play together, and I am now a mum of 2 humans. Wild. My brain still cannot comprehend that sometimes. Wild. But I'm getting there a bit more. And, like, obviously, sometimes I get stressed and stuff, and my inner child's like, no, why do I have to do this, man? Like, what's going on? Like, my inner child just wants to go and cry and hide. And I like feel the inner team just want to be like, "Ah, I just don't want to do any of this, like fuck off." And so then I have to sit there and I go, okay, mum's getting real stressed right now, like really overwhelmed. I need everyone to not touch me and not scream at me for a few minutes. I'm gonna go stand in the corner and do some breathing and then I'll come back when I'm feeling more calm. And Phoenix goes, okay, mum. Because I'm like, I've just gotta
Love
communicate this
that.
before I explode. And I thought, well, it's good because they're learning that I am human. My nervous system gets dysregulated. I'm not a fucking robot. I'm not on constant activation mode all the time. Like there's only so much screaming, hair pulling, being punched in the face, headbutted, and kicked in the stomach that you can handle in a few minutes' time without feeling like, oh, I need to move. And so communication I think is really important with self first because I would have usually previously before children been like fight or flight, either get angry about it or leave straight away. And I can't do either of them in this moment. I have to really sit with it and be like, okay, communication, sit through it, communicate through it, talk through it, regulate yourself. Show an example of co-regulation so that they can also learn how to do these things when they are dysregulated. And I do believe, no disrespect to any other generation, but in my personal experience from the people I know and what I experienced, we didn't get shown that a lot. I definitely did not get shown that a lot. And so
Absolutely not.
this is like my first time reparenting myself as an adult to my child and my inner selves and they're getting to witness that so that they will gain them skills naturally. And how beautiful is that? Hopefully, we'll have a whole load of more developed adults than the generations that we currently have. And that is said with all love. I am part of these generations, so are a lot of my loved ones. But yeah, guys, we missed out a few key skills.
Just yep, a lot. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say that was gone.
Yes.
I had to learn it now. Just looking at it though, it's really fun from my experience to be around kids and just own that, embody that, and be like, hey, I'm
Mm.
having a thing. Or just to totally have a complete, like, I'm crying. Like, I have emotions
Yeah.
like everybody else, and it's okay to do that. I'm gonna take a minute, take a breath. And it's cool to see how that they're doing that now because they're picking it up and they're
Mhm.
like, oh, look, I can actually do that. And it doesn't mean it doesn't take anything away. And they're going to go regulate themselves and they'll come back and talk to you, so it's fun. I've had a good t experience with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is wild because there is that still inner because I never experienced it that much. Like I either see no emotion or too much emotion under alcohol or something. So it was like, what the fuck, So I didn't really get that healthy display of emotion. So now when I'm emotional, I feel like, am I allowed to do this in front of my children? Am I allowed to cry? That was my first thoughts when I became a mum. I was like, should I be doing this? Is this traumatizing my kids? Like what? And then I learned you can't pretend, you can't be false. If you can't be false in any other aspect of life, why would I be false in the main, most important aspect of my life? So I definitely learned that emotion is not a bad thing, and I knew that for self, but showing emotion and vulnerability is not a bad thing. And it's usually met with tiny little human kisses. So it's very cute. And you just kind of get that sense of they're going to witness also other people having emotions and knowing that that's not something to fear. Again, no disrespect to men, but a lot of the men I experience when a woman or whatever gender, just I've seen this a lot lately, relationships, couples, friends, whatever, where there's an emotion from a woman and it's like, oh, I don't know what to do with that. Like it's too much for me. Let me just run away from it because they've never had that healthy display of how to sit with someone through that. Like that's not saying you have to feel that or you have to meet them there. No, we're just sometimes just to have a bit of affection and comfort, or I'm here for you. Do you need anything? Like, or just to be listened to is kind of all the support needed. Sometimes, oh, I'm going again. You know,
Like Jen's grabbing. I'm like, ooh, where's she going now?
honestly, I don't have a clue, but just rolling with it. But yeah, that was in no disrespect. Again, I talk a lot from what I experience, what I'm around, what I'm seeing, and a lot of my experiences are heterosexual male women relationships with a lot
Sure.
of the men around me. I haven't had sturdy, stable, emotionally healthy men to raise them, so a lot of them are working through that emotional
Yep.
safety, and the women are also finding their way to be vulnerable. That's what I experience a lot around me. I'm sure it's different for some people, but I don't ever mean to box things into a box because I don't like labels, but I just talk from my experiences, that's all, you know. So I'm just using the words that come to me.
As
It's
you
hard in
should
this
be.
world. Sometimes I feel like we have to clarify. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I have to clarify sometimes because I don't want to be in any way disrespectful, you know, but I just naturally speaking my truth.
Yeah, and everybody too, like we can only speak from our experiences. That's it, and
Mm.
what we perceive
Mhm.
around us. Yeah, everything else is everybody else's perspective and how they perceive it. But
Exactly,
um,
exactly.
I would have to say with the masculine, I've seen the same thing, and I've had a really good few buddies who have really worked through their stuff and are really being present and open for the females, which is fun to see. And I've also been around the queer community and all of that to see how that's interworking. And I've seen some new dialogues with being able to just be present.
Yeah.
Partnerships, which has been nice. And of course, I see the other aspect of it too. And I'm kind of just like, this is one of my preferences to see with everybody, so that maybe we can connect at some point
Yeah.
with each
Yeah,
other.
because it is this like we said, there's so many similar frequencies. It really don't matter what gender you are. A lot as like male or female. The point is, if you have masculine or feminine energy more predominantly, you're gonna have one or the you know, there's gonna be some
Yeah,
present, one or two or both, one or the other. So it's just about when we're using when I use the word specifically men, women, I think it's more just translating it into frequency. If you are obviously someone that resonates more with the other frequency in your different bodies, and I'm speaking to that, to the frequency rather than the physical energy. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get you. This is
You
an
get me.
all-inclusive experience, everybody.
Yes. Yeah, because it's hard. I do find it difficult because you know, it's difficult. There's so much shit in the spiritual world. Like,
Sure is, yeah, for sure.
don't get me wrong. I do think there's parts attacks on children, attacks on
Yeah.
the divine masculine and the divine feminine, on what it means to be that. What even now, don't hate me for this, guess, because I'm also fellow woman advocate and loving the strength. But man, I got way wrapped up into the feminist agenda, and that stopped me from being in my feminine energy.
Yeah,
Like that's just my experience. I'm not saying feminism is bad. It's not bad. I like feminism, but I think like anything, it can be taken to an extreme, and it can be a limiting belief if you allow it to be, because it can be restrictive, and that's again one of the reasons I don't like labels. Anything can be restrictive and condensive, and I think I still don't think that's a word, but there we go. But it makes me feel like this attack has been going on a long time. You know, there's no secret that, you know, again, it's so deep. It goes so many layers, shifting from the tax purposes and having children in school and not being raised in the family dynamic and separating the family dynamics and all of these different layers. Now, that's not to say it was ever perfect before. Obviously, I'm not, you know, not naive to that. However, there was some energetic values of divine masculine and feminine that were attacked on purpose. And I do think that, like anything, as we shift into this newer world frequency, we are bringing some frequencies that resonate, some new ones, you know, and we're finding what works for us. And I don't think that has to be restrictive into a physical form. It's more about finding your frequency, because genuinely I've been in a relationship myself for 14 years, and I felt a huge shift in my energy and my relationship in the past 2, 3 years from this activational energy and the feminine and masculine energy. And I think the more I resisted it, oh my God, yeah, the more it was an issue in terms of was like argumentative and defensive and overly masculine and overly protective. And because I was fighting what it felt like to be feminine, that's not saying everybody has to do that. But in my personal experience, it was a fear-based thing. Being feminine felt too vulnerable. So just overdid it with the masculine to feel safe. And that wasn't my norm or my healthy frequency, but it was a protection mechanism. And so the point of it is, going back to the original point, was once you settle into your original frequency, which can fluctuate and change, but it's more about being able to authentically express that frequency and what that looks and feel like without the feeling of, oh, is this like not feminist enough or whatever, that's just my
Yeah.
example. But you get what I'm saying? Like
Oh,
sometimes I still have them thoughts though. I'm like, oh my God, the feminist me would be cringing right now. Like I genuinely think that. And like even silly things like making food, obviously I cook for the kids. But like if someone makes a comment about me making food, like I have an instant like repulsion to it. Like it's like, no, I will not be in the kitchen. Genuinely triggers me so much. And so there's clearly still some shit going on in there. Like the little feminist me is still in there, like, no,
exactly.
motherfucker, I won't be making no food. Even though I have no human problem with it. But in that, when it's a projection onto me, oh, then I have an issue with it. Like it's so funny, isn't it?
I have,
The things that trigger with us, and the things that small things that can create such an emotional reaction to us.
oh,
It's
totally.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I have a feminist piece.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I can see our past lives doing that.
But I mean, I'm a mixed bag of all kinds of things. So it just depends on what I'm deciding I want to reflect in the moment and where my authenticity is at. And in any case, again, everybody, this is all about how you want to perceive your own energy, your feminine, your masculine, your inner child, your teen, and all the other facets that are around. I'm like this
Then
guy.
multi-hundred facets. Yeah, the little jellyfish. I actually see a little jellyfish. I went snorkeling on Peanut Island. Definitely recommend it. It's in West Palm Beach.
Ooh.
It was absolutely awesome. I will definitely be going back. It was really beautiful. And I seen little tiny crabs and little tiny fish, and Phoenix was on my back as I was snorkeling, which was really funny. Well, do you know what? I definitely felt so much time to rest in America. And I think that that's a big thing right now. Like, I think, again, another reason why we did do the videos, my body just felt like it needed to not be on a time schedule, like to
Yep.
just rest, to just not know what day or time of the year or month it was, and just truly just being that experience with my best friend and her family and my family, and just with the land and the beach. And I was definitely a lot at the ocean. I love the ocean, but I was a bit scared of it this time. Then waves were crazy, so I had to face some fears there as well. So many layers have come up in this time. Like you say, it feels like lifetimes, but
Yep.
it's one of them where our slogan is kind of becoming just roll with it, and it is what it is, because truly there is no control in this or scripting it or preparing for it. Like we can be looking at the stuff, sitting with yourself, communicating with yourself, looking after yourself, doing them things, that's important. But other than that, really, that's kind of all you can do.
Yep. And taking action steps according to what you feel like is right for you. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna say
Yeah,
that feels like a pretty good overall to that point.
it is. It feels like a nice little summary. So, but yeah, I just feel like the clarity is real right now. Don't be afraid if you're having big dreams, if you're having like this urge to change and do things, take action on that. And if you're feeling too afraid to take action, at least write that shit down so that you've got an anchor to that energy when you need
Totally.
it.
And be honest
Like,
too. Like tell yourself, yeah, I'm afraid.
yeah,
Take some action.
yeah, face that shit, face the fears because it's scary, but sit with it and go with it. And do you know what? Be brave, be fearless and be brave, because you have the inner strength. And remember, we have been holding the key to creating our reality all along, and we're finally getting the remembrance of that now. That remembrance has always been within our power. Now, that is annoying, frustrating, scary, and also deeply empowering if you allow it to be.
Totally. Your choice,
Mhm.
everybody. All right, Anya.
Yes.
Well, I've had a great time today. I've certainly
Thank you.
just glad that we've got to connect after a month of our own immersive experience.
Yeah, it's been wonderful, and I look forward to seeing you again next week, my darling.
Absolutely. And to everybody, please ask us some questions, subscribe. We'd love to
Mhm.
get deeper on anything you guys want to bring up. So, yeah, and we love you guys so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, please get involved. That'd be awesome.